The winds of change have made their way to West Bloomfield with the recent retirement of Howard Rosenberg. After serving 16 years on the Township board, he has shown immense leadership and commitment to his community. And joining us now on The Splash right now is the man himself, the now retired West Bloomfield Township trustee, Howard Rosenberg. Howard, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Really good and glad to be talking with you. Really interested to get your thoughts on this big change. Obviously, big congratulations to all of your years of service as you head off to retirement. What's going through your head right now as this is official?
Well, about a month ago, I started to feel nostalgic, and I started to look back at the beginning minutes. You know, we keep minutes in our archives of every meeting we had, and I just kind of looked back at the minutes of the first few meetings, and it brought back memories of how we got started, which was not that easy. You know, there were 7 of us who were all elected at the same time, and so 7 of us entered with 7 different ideas of how things should go, and we had to begin to. The first thing we had to do was to approve a budget. We had a month to approve a budget based on state law. And we got that done. And then we had to figure out who our department heads were, how to relate to them, how to make sure things work smoothly, how to keep supporting the department heads. But the thing was, that was 2008, and that's when the Great Recession hit. So that's when all of our problems, our financial problems hit. So then the next thing we had to do was figure out how not to lay off anybody and how to keep the shop open.
Wow, that's certainly a lot to be dealing with right as you get into the position, but you've proven yourself all throughout these years. And after having served on the township for 16 years, how have you seen things evolve and change over time?
Well, the first thing that changed over time was money. In the beginning, we lost close to 40% of our revenue. And so we had a problem, especially paying police and fire. And we were facing, you know, very, very significant deficit. And so we figured out that in order to keep us going, we needed another tax. We needed to ask the public for an additional money for public safety. And we expressed it to our unions, and we talked about it internally, and we decided to go to the public and ask them for an additional millage. And they supported us. I think they supported us because they trusted us, because we were honest with them about what we needed and how we needed it. And we weren't top heavy in our management, and we were willing to open our books to them. So they trusted us. And the unions trusted us. We got the money, so we didn't have to have any layoffs in public safety.
That's great, and that's awesome that you guys were able to make those changes and you were able to work well with the rest of the township. And in those 16 years, what are some of the biggest things and qualities that you're going to take away from this position?
I think the one of the things I'm most proud of is the Town Center Task Force. That happened after a number of issues came up on the board. Mostly the request for waivers from the previous overlay district. There was an overlay. There was a zoning law that overlaid the regular zoning law in the town center, which is Maple and Orchard Lake Road. And every time a developer came, they asked for a waiver. And so I was really tired of giving waivers. If that wasn't working and the developers kept asking for waivers, then we had to look at the overlay district. So the board agreed, and we formed a town center task force, which I chaired. And it took us 2 years. I mean, we spoke with a lot of people, with experts from the universities, with town planning people from other communities. We came up with a new overlay district, which now is beginning to show results. The apartment buildings that are being built there, the various things along the easements, and you can see the results of it as the developers start to change their various uh, strip malls, you'll see it even more.
Yeah, and if you just drive through the city of West Bloomfield, you can see these changes everywhere you look, and that is just a testament to all of the incredible work that you have done over these last 16 years. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, we have the newly retired West Bloomfield Township trustee Howard Rosenberg talking about his years of service to the community as he heads off into retirement. And Howard, I do want to ask, after having served 16 years, what got you to the decision to decide to step down?
Because it was 16 years. It was time. It was time. I felt that it was time for the township to have a new voice. I felt it was time for the township to have a new look, a new person looking at the budgets, a new person interacting with department heads, the department heads interacting with a new person. It's not that we were becoming too familiar. I was very familiar with each of the department heads, and I respect them very much. In fact, one of the reasons I felt like I could retire was because of the exemplary department heads. We have great department heads that are absolutely terrific at the jobs they do, and they keep us all looking good. And so my job was just to support them and make sure they had what they needed.
That's great, and that's awesome that you're looking out for the rest of the township. And you're going to be, and there's going to be some great additions coming to the township, including Vincent Kirkwood, who's going to be taking your place on the board. Are you excited to see what he's going to bring to the team?
I am very excited to see what he's going to bring to the team. He's a new, young person who will bring new ideas to the team, which is exactly what I hope. I met with Vincent. He's a great guy, and I think he's going to be a terrific addition to the board.
I think you are absolutely right. He's going to do great things for the township of West Bloomfield. And it sounds like you think the township is going to be in really, really good hands with the team that's currently at the helm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the police chief, Mike Patton, is going to be retiring in January. And that's, a bittersweet thing because he was the best decision I ever made to vote for him 10 years ago. And he's decided it's time to him to retire. But we have a great young deputy chief that we've appointed. And I was lucky that I was still on the board to be able to vote for him. Dale Young is going to be a great guy. So 2 young, new people coming on board.
Yes, Mike Patton and Dale Young both bring so many great things to the city of West Bloomfield, and both will absolutely fulfill their role. Well, Mike Patton did fulfill his role, and Dale Young will fulfill this new role as well. So what would you say are some of the biggest things that are to come for the city of West Bloomfield as these new changes come into effect?
Well, I think that it's, you have to build on what you have. And there's been a great deal of development. And so you have to manage the development. Not every development is the right development. You have to approve the correct developments. And you have to keep your eye on that. You have to make sure that you don't just approve everything that comes along. You have to approve the things that are right for West Bloomfield, which is not necessarily the things that are right for Novi or for Royal Oak. West Bloomfield is West Bloomfield, and it needs to maintain its identity.
That's right, and all of the great work that the township does help it to maintain its identity. Howard, one more question before we let you go. What's next for you as you bid the township board goodbye? What's up next for your future?
Well, I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. I do a little artwork for myself. I do some painting. I do some sculpting. I like to read, and we're going to travel. We're going to travel this winter, and we're going to see some things.
There you go. Enjoying that retirement, going out and seeing the world. I love to hear it. Howard, thank you so much for your time today and for joining us on The Splash.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.